Morning, James. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
James.
Hi, James. Thank you so much for volunteering on the Facebook group for coming on. It's really great to have you on. How do you feel the Patriots have done so far?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. First of all, just check you can hear me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah, great. I think like a lot of other Pats fans, we kind of got on the Fields wagon, like big time. When he started to slide, I think we were really quite excited. I was watching on on another stream that was similar to this, and they were getting more and more excited as it reached like pick 8, pick 9, pick 10, and then pick 11 to the Bears just snuck right in there. And that's when I thought, okay, this is going to be Jones. They didn't want it to be Jones, but it was Jones, and I'm quite happy with that. We needed a QB, so we got a QB. Seems to be the guy that Bill's after, so I can't complain, And then today, yeah, that's a fantastic value. Like that's a first rounder that we've got. We've had to trade up, but we had 9 picks. We've got 6 picks left. We can still get a few people in, so I think we've done very well.
Yeah. I'm big on Barmore at that sort of position. I know that obviously it came out that he was uncoachable, but at that level of ability and production at college, I mean, how much better do you need to get? And Bill's the best out of getting stuff out of potentially problem characters. He's taken on a few projects and he hasn't failed too many times, I don't think. Or if he has failed, he's taken enough swings at it to make it work.
Ironically, Bill's not done so well with some of the characters he's brought in the last few years. He tried to bring in a few wide receivers for Brady's last year or two. Like he tried to bring Antonio Brown, he tried to bring in Josh Gordon, hasn't really panned out. You can't say he didn't try. Brady's moved on to pastures new, as you may have noticed. But
yeah, he seems to be doing all right.
I've heard. I don't know what's happening really. I've not been paying attention. But I really look forward to Bill. He seems completely energized. I think a lot of people thought he might retire by now because he's getting quite old. But he's probably going to go for another 20 years. So see what happens.
And just tell us a little bit about yourself, James, as well. How your fandom and how you've been there, why you picked the Pats, and
well, I think a lot of people assumed that supporting the Pats was a no-brainer, but I actually watched the Super Bowl for years and years and years without picking a team at all, and I definitely didn't want to pick the Patriots. Wasn't my dad's a Man United supporter. I don't want anything to do with that kind of like glory hunter sort of thing. But it was the Super Bowl, the Seahawks Super Bowl. That was the best game of American football I'd seen. Basically, I thought that was tremendous. And with all the Deflategate stuff going on, I really looked into it and I kind of found that really they hadn't done anything wrong, and there was this huge sort of persecution angle. And I felt that, ironically enough, they were an underdog. They hadn't won for 10 years. And I really rooted for them. And then they happened to go on one of the best runs that 5 years from until basically till Brady left. That's a hell of a run. What was it? Three Super Bowls in 4 appearances in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked a very good time to pick a team. But it was more about Bill Belichick. I really like Bill Belichick more than Brady. I thought he was tremendous, and he's still there. So I'm still here.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, about the Pats that people regard them as having had a dynasty for the last 20 years, but you did go on that fairly large drought. I mean, you were still competitive all the way through, but no wins necessarily in the Super Bowl. But I don't think that you ever really missed out on the playoffs. I think you consistently won your division.
10 years of Brady's prime. 10 years of Brady's prime, he didn't win anything.
Oh, there goes a favourite of yours, Ryan.
Pete Werner's gone.
Pete Werner's gone to New Orleans.
Jabril Cox has fallen.
That's a bit of a reach.
Yeah, very consistent.
Let me just.
The Saints have reached on both picks now.
Yeah, that's a reach, definitely.
But if Cox falls to us because of this, I don't care.
What do you think your needs are, James? What do the Patriots need with these extra picks you've got? Because I noticed you've struggled at wide receiver, like you say, and Edelman's had to call it a day, unfortunately. And N'Keal Harry, I'm an Arizona State fan, but he's not delivered yet. So is that something you need to address, or you've spent the money there?
I think James is frozen.
I think James is frozen as well. Oh, there we go. That's what we wanted to see.
He's back.
There he is.
Hello.
Oh, James, why don't you turn your video off? That might help. Never mind. Hopefully that will come back in a moment.
So Werner's gone off the board, so that
Yep,
leaves
all day.
Cox, Browning,
Let's
Nico
have a look.
Collins. I know.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can
can
hear you,
hear you.
James. If you turn off your video, it might help your audio come through, which is potentially more important.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, my the Sennheiser set like crashed Zoom temporarily, which I'm not entirely sure why. But anyway, sorry. I think you were asking me about Edelman at one point there.
Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think your major needs are? Like, do you need to address receiver with Edelman going and then Keel Harry not living up to a big reputation? Like, where do you want to go in rounds 3 and 4?
Slot receiver would be useful, but it's not like an absolutely pressing need. Cornerback depth would be great because Gilmore and Jackson, they're only probably going to be around for another year or so, unless they re-sign Jackson to a lot of money. Offensive tackle would be useful again. Wynn and Brown, they're not locked in for 2022, and linebacker is a need as well. But I mean, we've kind of covered a lot of bases. We've got free agencies worked wonders for the team.
I noticed, yeah, like you say,
He's gone. God, he came through so clearly in the last 20 seconds.
we'll see if he resets and comes back.
To answer you, Steve, about the linebackers, there's Dylan Moses and Chaz Surratt as well.
Oh,
in
I
this
don't like
area.
Dylan Moses. I don't want him.
I'm not a Dylan Moses fan. James is back, I hope.
Not for us, but you might see them if people are starting to get desperate about linebacker now.
Yeah. Chance Surratt's one I quite like.
Someone that's
long as-
undersized, yeah, he's got a good. He's fast. He's Chasserat. He's agile.
What's Buffalo got now? Cornerback, wide receiver, running back.
Oh, and
Ooh, Michael Carter.
And the Packers are next. I can't wait for the Packers pick. I cannot wait.
Oh,
What are they
in
going to
fact-
do?
In fact, please let them take De'Army Brown.
No.
If the Bills can take De'Army Brown. No, because the Packers will take him. I don't want him to take a good
Oh, I see.
receiver.
Sorry. Yeah.
This is for the greater good, Matt, so you'll have to give him up for that. I've had to give up Grant and Eskridge.
Can you hear us, James?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there you go. So, right. So we think we've got you. Like you say, you were saying secondary, because there are rumours you could try trade Stephen Gilmore while in this draft. So is a corner somewhere you think you want in the later rounds? Secondary, maybe?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's I haven't checked the last couple to see if the last couple of picks, but yeah, there's Elijah Molden. I quite like to look at him, and Melifonwu as well. But you'd never know with Bill. He always picks cornerbacks up in round 2 and 3.
Yeah. Patrick Chung retired, didn't he? So, like you say, someone that can play safety and corner, that'd be quite helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Chung served us incredibly well. I mean, we've got Duggar, and I mean, I do rate Duggar. He was obviously our top pick last year. So if he steps up, then I'm not sure that there's a massive need at safety. But McCourty's not getting any younger. So,
like you say, if you can strengthen the line and protect this new quarterback potentially.
I mean, Cam's definitely going to start the season.
Yeah,
I mean, Cam might last the season. He did not have a good year last year. I don't think his mechanics have got any better. But he's still, he's a great leader. He's exactly the kind of guy you want to sort of train up your next guy. He's so great in the locker room that's got to rub off on Mac Jones as well. So.
Speaking of your quarterback, there's someone that's going to chase after him. The Bills have gone edge again and taken Carlos Basham at 62.
Basham's off the board.
So they've
So-
taken 2 edges with their first 2
edges,
picks.
so-
Yeah.
So Cam Newton is going to have 2 guys after him. They're going to injure. You might get him
This,
playing a bit sooner.
This may seem like a silly question to start with, but are you disappointed that they've gone back to Matt Jones and they've gone back to the pocket passing scheme of before with Brady? I mean, sort of the league's going towards these more exciting, dynamic offenses now with dual threat quarterbacks, a lot of versatility. Were you hoping that sort of it'd be Cam Newton-esque person coming next, or if you go back to winning Super Bowls with Jones, does it not really matter, I guess?
I mean, I think I heard you guys talking yesterday about, is Bill Belichick like an evolver? Does he evolve? And I have to say that the Patriots have not had the same offense like 2 years in a row for the last 10 years. When they had Hernandez and Gronk, they were a 2 tight end team, and they're a West Coast offense around the time. And then when they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they were a ground and pound team with Sonny Michel, and they had Devlin and Gronk. Gronk was a blocker in his last year for New England, and he caught a couple of fantastic third down passes. Belichick and especially like the whole team, they really do change things around to suit their personnel. With Mac Jones, he's an accurate and smart player. That's what they're after. They don't really care how he plays. He is slightly more athletic than I think people give him credit for being, but I don't expect him to run around a lot. I mean, Brady had 1,000 yards over his season. He could move occasionally, but you wouldn't expect him to. But he seems like, I don't want to compare him to Brady, but I do think that he's a smart guy, and that's what Belichick wants. He wants a smart guy, regardless of how they play. So
I do think in terms of comparisons of people, you do get quarterbacks compared to like coaches in soccer. So Man United, every coach is compared to Alex Ferguson still. Oh, he's not quite as good as that. And you're going to suffer with that with Brady too. Every quarterback that comes after him is, my God.
They've
Sorry,
gone
I've just seen the
centre.
Packers.
He's on
kick.
centre.
They've gone centre.
Yes!
Oh my God! And they've not even got the best centre in this
But
draft.
yeah, sorry, to return to my point, all of your quarterbacks are going to be compared to Brady for the next 20, 30 years. It's just something they're going to have to live with, I think.
yeah, they are going to be compared to Brady. But the funny thing is that 5 years ago, I don't think people really thought Brady was as good as they now think he is. So they always thought he was great with 3. Then he eclipsed Montana. Now with Tampa Bay, people will always talk about Brady as being the greatest player, and that the Patriots will suffer because they're not going to have him anymore. But I always gave Belichick a lot of credit for getting the most out of Brady, and I do think that he will get a lot out of Mac Jones, not to a Brady level, but that's the way they play. They're a very smart, it's a very complicated playbook that the Patriots have. They need a smart quarterback to come in and pick apart, opposing defenses. That's what they do. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Patriots go forward next year. And by the end of next year, you always want to play your best football in December, January, and potentially February. And that's what the Patriots are good at. So
How do you see next year going? With all of your free agents coming in, it's the sort of thing that takes maybe more than a year to bed in. Are you looking ahead to 2022, or do you think that you're going to be competing for the division this year?
Personally, I'm not expecting the playoffs. I think the Bills are very good. I think as much as I hate the Jets, I think the Jets are making some good picks this year, and I do think they've got a good quarterback. I think the AFC East is going to be very competitive, very, very competitive next year. So I really couldn't predict what's going to happen. But you never bet against Belichick, never bet against Brady. So I would love for them to make the playoffs next year, but I think this is more of a long-term project. I think he's looking 3-4 years down the line. So yeah.
Do you think that Belichick has taken some unfair flack? Because when the divorce happened, it was, is it Belichick? Is it Brady? But it's clear to me that the Patriots team kind of, they never intended to play badly last year, but they kind of almost hit reset, took a load of cap hit, and they've kind of come out the other side and been able to spend all this money. Do you think that people have gone, oh, well, it was clearly Brady, when actually what happened last year was by design, almost? It was part of the plan, and you're coming out the other side of it stronger now.
I mean, the Pats finished with the first losing record in forever. but they were one possession games. A lot of the ones that they lost, and one that could have gone either way. They could have finished, just on the cusp of the playoffs. They ended up finishing middle of the pack, pick 15. Can't complain really, given the way things have fallen in the first round. But I don't know. Belichick, I rate him hugely. I think Belichick gets just as much credit as Brady. I don't like this idea, this revisionist thing that Brady's gone to a stacked Tampa Bay and, it was all him all along.
Yeah.
Whereas Belichick has got a team that was like the highest number of opt-outs in the league last year. Cam just had no idea what the playbook was. They just did run play option just all the time for the first few weeks. They weren't there for Kansas City, and we held Kansas City. We're doing really well, and then threw a few games away. So I don't think the Pats were as bad as they were reported to be last year. I think they weren't that far off, considering how receiving talent was awful. We didn't have a tight end. There were just no tight ends, know. And this is a team that relies very heavily on tight ends. We had Gronkowski for a decade, and he was tremendous. So,
do you put that on Belichick though? Because he did take 2 tight ends in the draft last year.
Yeah, but what were they? Was it 2 second rounders, like late-ish second rounders?
Yeah,
or?
Dalton Keene from Virginia Tech. But
Exactly,
he's a H-back. He's he's not even an actual tight end.
That's what I mean.
And
Belichick knows as well as anybody that when you just rolling dice, He's not got very lucky with rolling dice for 5 years in the draft. Michelle is someone who I quite rate. I really like him. I think he's a solid guy, but he can only run for what's blocked for him. And they've had issues sort of doing things in the last year. Running game was not good. Newton was.
Kyle Trask has been drafted.
Oh, is it Trask gone now?
Oh, what to Tampa?
To Tampa at 64.
Why didn't they take Mond? Come on, man.
I like the Chiefs though. The Chiefs took Creed Humphrey.
Yeah, that's one of the best picks in the whole of the draft, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna win 110 quid if Mons goes before 80.
That is a reach for Trask. I do not like that pick.
You've got no one left before 80 now. Who needs one? Oh, in fact, Washington are there at 74. I think that's your last bet.
He does fit their mobile thing. He would fit Washington's offense.
I tell you what, they've been reading my consensus board, Tam, because this is the first time since pick 3 that a team has picked a player in the exact position I've had him on the board. Trask 64th on the board, 64th for Tampa Bay.
Chris Perfett's just tweeted quarterback controversy in Tampa.
It's sensible. Trask's going to need 2 years to be NFL ready, so it's sensible. And when they've not got no obvious needs on that team, they can make luxury picks now and the next QB pick.
Realistically, I don't think Trask's ceiling projects him to be an NFL starter at any point in his career. He's too unreliable.
Yeah, but
it's not something which gets fixed.
He's not actually got that much film. He's actually not that experienced.
He threw 4,500 yards last year, though. It's a lot. I know it's only down at Florida and the level of competition's there, but
if you've got a 6'6" tight end, big play guy who lines up wherever you want him to, and you can just throw to him, and then you've got the guy who went 20 that Ryan loves,
Kadarius
Tony. If you've got those 2 guys on the field, you don't need to be a particularly good quarterback to rack up the yards. I'm sorry, it's not a reflection on Trask at all. That's my feelings on it.
It's just another quarterback for Tom Brady to outlast.
Yeah.
So officially entered round 3. We're now in round 3.
7 picks away from the Lions.
And Jabril Cox is still there.
He's still there. It's looking good.
That's the dream. Someone can take Baron Browning and then we get Jabril Cox.
He's going to be there and we're going to pass on him. I can just see it now.
I know. I'm not going to get a single one of my... I've got Darden and Cox now. And minors.
I haven't even looked at my own draft. I can't remember.
James, what's the best moment of your fandom of the Patriots over the years?
It has to be 28-3. It has to be 28-3. That was the most remarkable thing I've ever seen in sport. And I live in Liverpool and I watched the Liverpool Champions League final. But it was better. It was just tremendous. Every single thing had to go right, and it did. I mean, the the moment for me, I think, because I've watched it back several times, as I'm sure you can imagine, the thing for me is the Jones catch, and you're like, all they're gonna do is kick that field goal. It's game over. And I thought that was it. A worthy effort, and we were going to lose, but with our heads held high. The fact that we won that game, even when I watch it back, I still don't think we're going to do it. So that's 100% the high watermark of my fandom.
It's probably the most unbelievable game I've ever seen in my life, really.
Yeah, a funny story about it is we used to have a Super Bowl party with friends, so I had to watch it a day late. So I had to avoid everything for the day, but I did manage to watch it without it being spoiled. If that had been spoiled, that would have been the worst thing. So I was so lucky I got to see it. I just taped the whole thing, watched it on a delay, and experienced it as if it was live. So it's incredible.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, man. I think we're going to come to the end of our time with you, James, but thanks so much for responding to my post on Facebook about needing a Pats fan. I didn't think I'd struggle for a Pats fan in the UK, considering their following here, but you come on and you clearly know your stuff, so I really appreciate you coming on and answering our questions. It's been great.
Yeah, no
Thank
worries.
you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, James.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you very
cheers,
much.
And have a successful draft yourself, guys. I do have a soft spot for the Lions.
A lot of
Everyone
people have
says
said
that.
that. It's like we're almost everyone's second team. It's great. I love it.
It's because it's that British mentality, isn't it? It's like I really would love to see the Lions go to the Super Bowl. I'd love it,
You can just say you feel sorry for us.
It's
We'll
pity.
understand. We'll understand.
It's all right because I absolutely detest the Jets. I hate the Jets. So like that they would be the underdog otherwise, but nah, screw them.
Love it, James. Thank you so much again.
Top.
Okay.